Biden has criticized states like Texas that have relaxed COVID restrictions, including masking too soon and convenient. He said it was a big mistake. Do you have any reaction to that?
Well, President Biden has a lot of problems to take care of. He's got a crisis at the border that he calls a challenge and not a crisis, dismantling all of our immigration laws and protections to protect our border. And so I don't think he's got a lot to say about preaching to my state about how we've handled this COVID-19 virus. Part of the problem here that Senator Scott and others have pointed out is that many states have been overly restrictive in terms of opening the economy, safely going back to school and the like. And what they want, because they have not been able to meet their revenue needs, they want the federal government to bail them out. So I don't think Washington has a lot to say to states like my state about what the appropriate reopening measures are. And the fact of the matter is, if you want to wear a mask, you can still wear a mask. But at some point, the government needs to quit making arbitrary rules that do not have any demonstrable connection with the public health.
I guess I'm wondering, though, if you're concerned about more variants or any rise in cases or deaths when we're so close to having people vaccinated, possibly by...
Well, there's a lot of pseudoscience out there. There are a lot of people who, maybe like me, a recovering lawyer who's had to try to learn science. But there's also a lot of scaremongering that's going on. And we see successful states like Senator Scott's state that successfully reopened their economy. We need to look at this as not just being a one-dimensional issue. We need to think about the victims of domestic violence that have been cooped up with their abuser, with the suicides that have taken place, the children that have fallen farther and farther behind. This is not just a one-dimensional problem. We need to look at the whole thing. And I think Governor Abbott in the state of Texas, I'm proud of the work we've done. I'm proud of the fact we're getting more shots in the arms of people who need it. And I have to tell you, rather than spending roughly 1% of this $1.9 trillion on vaccines, we ought to be all about getting shots in arms of as many people as fast as we can. That's going to be the key to defeating the virus.
We'll take one more question on the bill.
Senators, wondering if you might be able to speak a little bit about what amendments you might plan to offer during the vote-a-rama tomorrow, and then also just what the GOP's strategy going into this amendment session is going to look like.
Well, you know what's nice is everybody gets to propose their amendment. I think border security is a big deal. If you look at what we ought to be focused on right now, is we ought to be focused on opening our schools. We ought to be focused on securing our borders. We shouldn't be appeasing dictators around the world. We shouldn't be allowing men to compete in women's sports. We shouldn't be paying for abortions with U.S. tax dollars overseas in foreign countries. We ought to focus on the things that are important to families. Number one, they want to get a job. Number two, they want their kids to get a good education. Number three, they want to be in a safe community. And if you look at this so-called COVID bill that Democrats have, it has nothing to do with any of those things. They're doing just the opposite. They won't open our schools. They're hurting our economy, like with the Keystone Pipeline. That's what people care about, and I know that's what I'm going to talk about in my amendments on the floor.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Senator, sir.